Hi, welcome back to the channel, everybody. So today I'm talking about my 10 favourite womb healing practices. So this is all about womb care, self-care as women. So I've talked about this in a few videos before. We know it's a real topic for me. It's a topic for a lot of us, right? There's so many of us with menstrual, menopausal, peri-menopausal, PCOS issues, PMDD. I've talked about this before, all the P's. You're out there. I'm over here, POI, like ovaries not responding, don't know why. So it's a whole minefield of where to turn to help ourselves. So I've started doing research back into kind of more Celtic native wisdoms that we would have done before, things that women were doing for centuries, if not thousands of years. And I've kind of compiled a few things as well as some more modern things that I think are definitely my favourite 10. I mean, that's a lot, right? It sounds like a lot, but even if you just tried one of these things, it could really make a difference for you. So my number one, and I've said this on purpose first, because it's one that most people haven't heard of, and it's yoni steaming. Now, if you know me, and you're going to get to know over these videos and with this channel, I love herbs. I'm an absolute lover of using herbs. Now, yoni steaming, for those of you who don't know, yoni is an ancient word used to describe basically your womb, your vagina, your vulva, all of the female reproductive organs, all of the feminine sexual parts. And that word is a really, really lovely word to use because it's got that kind of, I think it's Pali word or Sanskrit, I can't remember which one, but it's got a kind of sacred feel to it. A lot of these words actually have a vibration that's sacred, but yoni steaming is as it sounds. You're steaming your yoni. So you sit on a chair. I've had one lovingly made by my partner, Sean, and he's probably going to grab it now and bring it to the front. But you basically sit on the chair, it's got a hole in it, and you're using herbs, so all the beautiful herbs that help support women. And I'm going to do a whole herb series starting next week, so stay tuned for that. If you're watching this in the future, then check my videos out because there will be a herb series, women's herbs. And you use those herbs and you allow them to steam your very intimate areas. So he's just going to bring this in. I'm going to show it to you now. So you can see this hole. You sit on here, and we're actually going to make these and sell them eventually because they're actually quite hard to find, especially if you're in the UK, and they're a real great thing to use. So you might have seen retreats if you go to women's retreats. Occasionally you get retreats where they offer this, but again, it's really rare, but you can just do it at home. You don't need a special chair to start with. To start with, I used to just kneel over the bowl. So obviously just making sure that you're not using too hot water and things, but yoni steaming is putting all the magic of those herbs right where they're meant to be. And think of it as relaxing all those muscles. For a lot of us, our women's problems are because of tension. So that can be a real problem. So tension in our pelvic floor, tension due to trauma in the past or anything like that. But also we don't get massages, do we? You don't often massage your yoni, your inner thighs, your womb area. And so think of all that tension held there, and the herbs and the steaming just helps relax it all, get blood flow up in there. It's magic. Now, I'm not going to talk about these points in detail. So if you want more info, come to one of my classes, come to one of my retreats, or drop me a message and we can talk. And I will cover these in more depth individually at some other stage, but yoni steaming. Number 2 is carrying on the herb path, and it's using herbs in tea. So something really simple. So as well as doing your yoni steaming once or twice a month, drinking those beautiful herbs is a really great way to get them straight into you. I actually make these tea blends because I couldn't find them anywhere else. So I make tea blends specifically for POI, infertility, for peri-menopause, for PMS and problems around PMS and PCOS. So I've really kind of niched in there because I realised that this wasn't something offered, and you can find these blends on my Etsy shop, which I'll share in the show notes. And if you've got any questions, just reach out to me because these herbs are everything to me. It's made such a difference for me, and I share them with my loved ones and my friends and family, and they all say that they love drinking them. And yeah, it's just a really lovely way to get back to what we would have been using for centuries. And what's really interesting is so many pharmaceuticals are based on herbs because you can't patent the herb, right? Think about aspirin. That comes from the bark of the willow tree, and they couldn't patent the willow tree because you can't patent a tree. So they made it synthetically. So they're using ancient wisdom and creating it synthetically so that people can pay for it. So going back to business, going back to like the roots of, coming back to the earth, is a really, really beautiful practice. So herbal teas. So number 3 for me is slowing down. So this sounds like, what has that got to do with womb healing and womb care and women's care? Everything. Us as women, as people, but women especially, we're not meant to be running about. We're not meant to be totally frazzled. We're not meant to be overworking, doing activities late at night. Cycles and how we operate in a sort of more feminine, slower way is real key to finding balance as a woman. So if you think about the feminine principle, it's yin, it's slow, it's intuitive, it's rooted, it's grounded, it's soft, it's nurturing, it's nourishing. Yes, it can be fierce, but it isn't hurried, it isn't rushed, it isn't aggressive, it isn't, masculine, it isn't doing, it isn't yang. It's the opposite of that. And we live in a world, this, I've said this on other videos, it's a real important point that I think we all need to understand more and can really help us. We live in a world that's yang. So bringing that like slower, intentionally having slow activities. I have to practice it, even talking slower. Yeah, doing less, cutting your day down, getting rid of things obligations that you don't want to be doing. Starting to say no more. These are all beautiful ways that we can actually heal our wombs. So if we're constantly running and we're exercising like men and we're eating like men and we're working like men, then how are our bodies meant to act like women? So that's a really essential one. So number 4, we've got womb and breast massage. So these are 2 of my favourite practices. Really simple, sounds exactly what they are. I love to teach these in workshops. I haven't done workshops for a while. As you know, I've been unwell, but it is something that I will be putting out there soon over the next few months with my friend, and just getting blood to these amazing areas. So it's been shown that doing breast massage daily can actually regulate our hormones. So our breasts have got so much to do with our wombs and our women's health. And obviously getting blood supply to your womb and your belly is really, really great for helping things flow, getting things more balanced, getting things healthy. Healthy organs want blood flow. And so if you've had any sort of trauma, or you're a woman that maybe doesn't enjoy intimacy, chances are that you're kind of cutting your energy off from the waist down. I've been there. I was like that for all of my life until I found Tantra. I was numb. I was numb from the waist down and I didn't know any different. And actually bringing life and pleasure and massage and focus, intention back to my womb, my pelvis, this bowl, this energetic bowl we have as women, which is incredible, creates life, is our creativity, creates all of the projects that we bring into the world. That area needs focus. So using beautiful womb essential oils, rubbing them on your belly, can be a really lovely thing to do. So I also make womb oils. So if you want to know how to do that, or you want to purchase some, then let me know. You can go along to my shop and have a look, and just have a look, have a look what's in them, see what you think, like feel into it. Your body knows what it needs. But for most of us, doing some sort of womb practice also helps us connect. Yeah, we're so disconnected. Think hormones, think the pill, think HRT and coils. We haven't got that message from our brain to our womb anymore because we're just so cut off. Again, I was like that for years, and it's been a great journey for me over the last 10 years, sort of connecting back with my womb and realizing like all the insight I have here. So we are as women, we're grounded in our bellies. So it's really important that we start to connect physically with that. And when I teach this, women go wild for it. They absolutely love it. It can bring up a lot of emotion that we've stored, things that we're suppressing. It's just such beautiful practices. So yeah, that could be something that you think about in your daily or weekly or monthly practice. So the next one is kind of in line with that, and it's pleasure. So this is going to be a whole topic on its own, but pleasure is really important. So think about that our feminine energy is at our cervix. That's the root, our kundalini root, your root chakra. It's where all of your sexual energy is. It's where our life force starts from, and it's in this root area. And for so many of us, we can just be cut off, and all of that energy is just stuck. So finding ways to enjoy intimacy, slowing it down, you know, having a partner that you feel safe with and talking to them, trying different things that women take 40 minutes to become awakened and aroused, whereas men, it can take like 40 seconds. So we can see the difference there. And it's really important as women that we start to own that and see if we can be asking for what we need, trying that out, but also learning it for ourselves. Like, how can we know how to have pleasurable lovemaking if we can't ask for that? We don't know what we're asking for. We don't know what we do like. We don't know what pleasure is, maybe. Now, I know this can be a really, really sensitive topic. For me, it's even a sensitive topic still. After having numbness for so long from trauma, it can bring up, it'll just, brings up a lot. So just take this really slow. If you ever want to talk to me, I'm here. This has been, again, a huge journey for me, and probably the best thing I ever did for myself was finding tantric practices. Now, obviously there are many, so it's finding the right ones for you, but finding those practices, manifesting a safe partner, one who is, loving, all of those things have really created a safe environment for me to explore this and expand my energy and allow myself to be pleasurable. And that energy is healing. There's nothing more to say about it. That's how powerful it is. It's healing. It's essential. It's part of who we are. We want that energy to be flowing around our body, orgasmically flowing. So that's a point. Again, if you want to talk, you know where I am. So syncing with your cycle. So you can check my video. There's one whole video on this, syncing with my cycle. There's also going to be a video on pleasure coming up, but syncing with your cycle, have a look in my videos. I'll tag it in the video. This is all about learning. If you're still menstruating, it's about learning the phases of our cycle and how we can plan our life and sort of exercise and eat and socialize around our cycle. Finding our monthly cycle. It might be longer, it might be shorter for you, but finding that flow and living by it. So that's all I'll say on this, but that's one of my favorites as well. So a really obvious one for me is nature. I can't even remember what number we're on now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should have written these down. 5, 6, 7. So we've got 4 left. So number 7 is nature. So a really great one for women is getting into water. This is also great for men, but we are water with a water element. Feminine is the water. It's the flow. It's the flow of life. It's us bringing life in. So think about us emulating that. And what better way to emulate that than to be in water more, in nature, to be near water, to get the benefit of nature's healing. So in nature, we're not on our phone. We're not on a screen. We're not getting that blue light into our eyes. All of those amazing things. We're slowing down, we're listening, we're getting all the terpenes from the trees. There's just so many reasons. We're getting grounded, so many reasons to be in nature as much as possible. And that really, for me, as healing goes and being healthy, that's number 1 for me. Number 1 every time. Get into nature, be in nature more. So number 8 is seed cycling. So I'm going to pop a little link in the show notes to this. It's really simple. Once you've learned your cycle and you're tracking your cycle with a diary, if you're not doing this already, you don't need a fancy app. Just tracking it in your diary each month so that you can see the patterns, like how you felt. You notice that you cry. I cry before my period for a couple of days. And every month when I get my cycles, as you know, I don't have cycles regularly, but when I do, and it's coming and I'm crying, I'm always like, oh, why am I crying? And then, I'll look and I'll think, okay, well, I had this symptom. Okay, I'm going to get my period. So tracking it can be really helpful. And seed cycling is using different seeds. So pumpkin and linseed at certain times of the month, and then sunflower and sesame, and you cycle them. So it's only two phases, but you do those at each part of your cycle. And if you're like me and you don't get regular cycles, you copy a cycle. So when you do get a cycle, you carry on from there and you act like you do. And this helps your body get into a recognition that it has consistency and rhythm. And the seeds really help this. There's certain oils that come from the seeds that support hormone production at those times of the month. So that's great. Number 9, resting. I couldn't read my own writing then. Resting. I should have this behind the camera really if I wanted to be really cool. So I don't even know where to start with this topic. Resting. I still don't really know what that word means. I laugh with one of my best friends. Resting. Been chronically ill for nearly 3 years and I still don't really do that. So it's a real practice, but it's essential. And learning to rest is probably the greatest gift you'll ever give your body. We all need to do this, not just women. But as women, finding the right time in your cycle to rest. And if you don't have cycles anymore, then just finding those times that your body is telling you to rest. So if you're not having a cycle or you're past menopause, or whatever's happening for you, then resting will be just as essential. It'll just mean that you're doing it in sync with your body, not necessarily with a monthly cycle. But I think that this is a really important point to say, that we're meant to be as humans like 50% doing and 50% resting. And nowadays, I would say that's more like 99% doing and 1% resting, if that. Like I have friends that I will ask, and women that I've worked with in my line of work, women's healing and stuff, and they'll say that they don't ever rest. They're just frazzled. And the modern world is basically killing us and creating all this imbalance. Like it's a no wonder most of us are having horrific transitions into menopause or peri-menopause, or like 15 years before menopause. I've got PCOS and all these problems because our bodies need rest to regenerate and heal. Now our wombs especially need dark, they need rest, they need silence. And in ancient times, not that long ago, we say ancient times, but you're talking like 150, 200 years ago, women, and definitely earlier than that though, when we were really living like, so here in the UK, like living Celtic life, you know, living with the earth. We would have gone into what called the red tent at the time of our bleed in some tribes and villages. We would have definitely retracted from the world and gone inward because it was seen as a time of insight, a time of being really intuitive and being able to listen. You've also got less energy, you're bleeding, right? You need to slow down. And even if you're not bleeding and you're emulating a cycle, your body is doing different things with different hormones along your cycle. And at that point, we really need to rest. But we also need to rest daily. We need to have that rest time, and evening is great for this. So we don't live by a circadian rhythm, a daily rhythm like men, but we will still have the same need for, you know, slowing down in the evening, not doing your high exercise in the evening. If you're exercising yin yoga, think like that, you know, yoga nidra, gently walking and things, but really trying to slow down and rest. And I know that many of you will be listening to this and thinking like, that's impossible. You know, I have commitments, I've got family, I've got my job, but we have to start weaving this rest space into our lives and making the choice. So there's always choices that we can make to change. And I've noticed that as I've made those choices, more choices become available because you're making, you know, it's like a domino effect. So you get more and more space. You start to prioritize it. You talk to your friends, you know, turn things down because you need to rest. You know, telling your work that you need to, whatever you need to do, you know, take less on or change your hours or work from home. And you're giving space, you know, talking about it with your family, your children, that, you know, you need to rest, your partners. So my partner's just come back in and he said, is this going to be a long video? And I said, no, I think I'm just going to mention each point. And here we are, probably battery running out and I'm still banging on. So,
well, the good news is the battery hasn't run out, but it is on the red.
Okay, so we're on number 10 though. So that was number 9. Number 10 is sleep. So leading on from rest, sleep. Sleep is essential for all of us to be in a correct rhythm, and so many of us are not in a rhythm. So at many retreats, I've spoken to women and done work with women, and in my yoga classes and stuff, come across women that can't sleep, sleep late. They up on their phones until late because it's the only time they get in the day to themselves. They're waking up super early and not getting enough sleep, basically. And this is such a sad fact of life, that our modern world is just, as I've said, making us ill. It's imbalancing us. It's making it impossible for our bodies to flow in healthy cycles, in healthy ways. And energetically, if you're not resting, if you're not having that rejuvenation, think about all the things that can be caused by that. All of the ways in which our body needs darkness, especially as a woman. It needs to be shut off. It needs to be quiet. It needs rest. It needs sleep. There are also hormones that in your body that are, I can't remember the name of this one specific hormone, but it's emitted all day in your body. And if you don't, basically, the more sleep you get, it starts to be downregulated. So if you don't get enough sleep, it's not downregulated and you're starting the next day at a high level, and it disrupts your hormones. So think PCOS and everything. We just think, like cysts just appeared. They don't just appear. We're completely toxic in our lives. We're not sleeping, we're not resting. And so these are some of the things that we can take back. This is great because it's empowerment, right? We can take back the power and choose to find a better sleep pattern and look after ourselves. So we just had to change the battery on the camera, and isn't that a bit fitting that I'm talking about resting and sleeping, our human batteries of regaining rest and recharging, and the battery on the camera ran out. So your battery is also running out, but quite potentially, if we're not recharging at night. We can't run on fumes. And again, I know this is really hard. I used to work with a woman that had terrible insomnia, and oh my gosh, it was so distressing, because basically if you don't sleep enough, your brain doesn't function. Your brain is controlling a lot of your hormones. It all just goes off whack. So I think some tips for this would be thinking about your evening routine. So using herbs, I know I love herbs, and essential oils to help you wind down, finding things that help you rest. So we love to go to the sauna, a warm bath, no phones and screens after 7, not watching exciting, exhilarating TV, not being, doing your shopping at night on the phone. All of these things can really help. I'm actually going to do a video for sleep entirely on its own because it's such an amazing topic. And I've found a way. I sleep 10 hours. I love sleeping. I need that sleep. I always have. And I have found ways to create a cocoon and sacredness. It's real sacred to me, sleep, and it should be really to all of us. So making that room dark, all these things like not having lights on and stuff, not having noise, not having it too warm. There's a lot of things we can do, but sleep is really important. So I really hope my top 10 my favorite womb healing practices can help you. And let me know which ones you already do, which ones you're going to use, which ones you didn't know about. Please do share in the comments. Let me know what you thought about my video. Give me a thumbs up. Can't speak. If you like this, I'm just really glad that you're here. We're all here sharing what we're doing to heal. And these are my favorite 10 things that I've been doing to help heal my womb, my feminine energy. And I hope they help you as well. Okay, see you next time.